Hi, I'm really excited to be here. It's the first trail race of the post-COVID-19 lockdown. Training has not been fantastic. Been injured here and there, but nothing is better than attending a race at this time. I'm really excited to be here, just to give my best despite my condition is not so good. I've been in quarantine for the past 16 days. I was just released 3 days ago. I just came out of quarantine 3 days ago, so I'm really happy to be out here and enjoying the race and the scenery. And I hope everyone have a great race, very safe. The weather is very cool. The trail is going to be muddy, but it's going to be fun. Really fun. Challenging. It adds more variety to the normal condition. Okay, happy. See you guys at the finish line. See you.
Lần đầu tiên có cự ly 100 cây. Rồi. Có sự khác biệt của cự ly và thời tiết, nhưng mà tất cả đều rất
sao được nói đi, nói không sao. Cái đường này cái đường chạy có khó như là các đường chạy khác không?
Cự ly 100 cây thì lúc nào cũng có sự khác biệt, nó sẽ có những thử thách. Tất cả đều thú vị.
Vô địch cự ly 70 cây. Em cảm giác lúc này sao? Cảm giác và nói lên cái cảm xúc khi mà về đích.
Cảm giác em lúc này thì cung đường năm nay em có nghĩ là nó rất là chi là xấu, nói chung là kinh khủng, nhưng mà cuối cùng mình đã hoàn thành rất là vui vì đó là thành nghĩa của mình. Tuy không đưa ra, tuy đã đưa ra mục tiêu mình mà tuy không hoàn thành nó thôi.
Rồi các em về cách khá xa rồi các bạn chạy khác thì cái sự tập luyện nó mang đến cái gì?
Riêng phải tập chuyên cần rồi, thường xuyên và nghiêm túc đó em mới đạt được cao hơn.
Rồi năm sau em có muốn up lên cự ly cao hơn không?
Cái đó thì cũng đang dự định năm sau như vậy mà chưa biết được.
Ok, rồi ok, cảm ơn Tấn Hy nha.
Dalat Ultra Trail. What was supposed to be a festive trail running celebration party after months of hardship caused by COVID-19 sadly turned into a tragedy. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of The Tale of the Trail. This time we gave the episode the title Back to School. Without any races on the calendar in the immediate future, runners return to basic training, and trail event managers are trying to draw lessons from the tragic occurrences that led to the passing of 2 ultra athletes, one in Vietnam and one in the Ukraine, 2 weeks ago. It was a stark reminder for everyone of the inherent but often ignored dangers of our beloved sport. Sudden cloudbursts causing flash floods in hilly forests, and scorching temperatures causing overheating and dehydration in people not used to that level of exposure. While accidents can never be fully excluded in any exercise or in any activity, we should nevertheless take a moment to reflect on what happened in order to understand the caveats of ultra running and be better prepared for the future. With us this evening are 2 great trail runners based in Vietnam who took part in the ill-fated Dalat Ultra Trail. Masafumi Yamamoto, originally from Japan. Welcome to the Tale of the Trail show. You are based in Ho Chi Minh City, I believe?
Yeah, yes, I stay in Ho Chi Minh City. Although I'm Japanese, but I've been here for 28 years. So yeah, I'm
28 years.
Yes.
Wow. So you also speak Vietnamese already in the meantime, I guess.
I do.
Yeah. All right, wonderful. And then we have Trung Nguyen. And Trung is originally living in Singapore now, but now you're in Hanoi, correct?
Yes, I'm in Hanoi at the moment.
Yeah, so you're the quarantine man, basically. We remember that you had to go in quarantine before the Dalat Ultra Trail.
Oh yes, it was very lucky for me. We applied to be on a rescue flight. There is no indication that we will be accepted to go back, and I didn't have any intention to race in Dalat Ultra Trail until I managed to get on the flight, and it was only a few days notice. I was on the flight on the 31st of May. I came back, did my 16-day quarantine, and it was during the 16-day period that I managed to get a beep from the organizer, and that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't train, if you can tell.
So let's talk a little bit about the event, Dalat Ultra Trail. Of course, we all know what happened, sadly. The race was stopped. At what point were you guys when the race was stopped? How far did you manage to go?
Yeah, so I was just around the CP6, and I returned from the river out of the CP6 back to the CP6. But when I was in the CP6, it was stopped. Yeah.
And Trung, where were you at that point?
We were cut off at checkpoint 7, which is about 84 kilometers in.
Yeah.
Just before the biggest climb. That was after the rope part.
Yeah.
So how did you guys find out that the race was stopped? When you arrived in the checkpoint, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Originally, I was informed that the race was stopped due to some unknown reason, but maybe some information at the CP, it was not very clear at that time. But at that time, I didn't know the reason at the beginning.
Yeah. And at that point, were you guys surprised that it was stopped, or was it really the weather condition was so bad that this was kind of felt normal?
I wasn't surprised. I was not surprised because before I reached checkpoint 7, my brother and we were going together, and we reached a junction where a minute before we arrived, there was a man who was swept away, and there was a man who was with the man who was swept away, and that guy tell us about that event, and some of them called the organizer, and so I wasn't surprised that in this kind of condition the race will be cancelled. It was a relief actually, because going down from the peak of the trail in this condition, in this wet condition, is very dangerous as well. It's not just the river part.
Yeah, actually, for me also, I decided to stop by myself when I come to the river. so that I didn't really dare to cross the river. And at the time, my chance of the catching up the cutoff time at the CP7 was very, very thin too.
Yeah.
So that it made sense for me to stop at the CP6.
Yeah. And how did the evacuation go? So was it easy for you guys to get back to the city?
This is another story. Yeah, because let's say this design of the trail was very, very ambitious, very, very nice trail with a very big ground of the wide area. And but this one need to have some kind of the trade-off, because each of the checkpoint or let's say CP is not so easy access from the logistics point of view. So after the CP6, after the race is stopped, many people stuck at each of the CP, and these people need to wait for some kind of a very special arrangement to come back. Somebody even tried to walk back, but it takes another 10 kilometers or something like that. That was not so easy. Probably CP7 is even more.
Okay. For me, I was stopped at checkpoint 7, and checkpoint 7 was right next to a road. So it was quite easy to call a special jeep, because that is a private mountain, and they do provide jeep to go up and down the road. We order one. It wasn't expensive, and we go down to the mountain and there's taxi available. It was quite quick. It was actually much better than some other races in the region that we did, where it takes many hours after DNF or cut off to go back to town. So on that point, I would say that it was much easier than expected to go back to town from checkpoint 7. I'm not sure about checkpoint 6. Checkpoint 7 is easy.
For CP6, we need to arrange the tractor that is arranged by the organizer, and the tractor probably need to make 2 rounds or 3 rounds to evacuate all of the runners there. But yeah, and the tractor has to go something 10 kilometers away, and from that point we have to take public transportation, but very difficult to catch a taxi there. Let's say it can happen with the other race too. And with this kind of the location of the CP is let's say kind of a trade-off. We can enjoy middle of nowhere, but on the other hand, if you stop there, you have to pay off, and you need to do something extraordinary for the part of the trail, I think.
Yeah. So obviously, normally Dalat Ultra Trail takes place in March. That's the dry season. Now it was June. It was the wet season. It had indeed already been raining a lot before the event, in the days before the event. So you knew that it was going to become muddy and treacherous. But just how bad was it? How bad were the trails? Was it runnable at all, or was it really struggling?
Not that bad. The terrain was still manageable. I ran many other races under the rain, which is much more slippery. So it is not that hard in terms of terrain.
Okay.
Yep, I didn't find it very hard as well. The river crossing after it rained, the water looked treacherous. The speed of the water flow is high, but they are quite shallow. The places that I crossed, you only go up to the thigh level. So it takes really bad luck for accident to happen, because if you can even lose a footing and you get swept away. But most of the time, with this kind of shallow water, a lot of people manage to get away with it by grabbing onto something and climb it out. And the width of the crossing isn't very wide. Most of the time, at the places where the crossing were wide, there are ropes. There is rope to assist
Yeah.
So in no circumstances I found myself in danger. You know, unlike other races I have done overseas, where you know, where if you are in an exposed rock places, you know, if you fall to the wrong side, you can literally, you know, hurt yourself badly. Yeah, but in this case, it takes quite a lot for an accident to happen, in my view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there any talk before the race, during the briefing, for example, the race briefing, that there might be a possibility for flash floods, something like that, or nobody mentioned anything about that?
To be honest, I skipped the briefing. I did not. So I had no idea.
Bad guys.
So sorry for that. I probably organized deliver very important information. But
did a lot of people decide not to start before the race?
It was drizzling. Everybody was really excited to go. I don't think that anybody decided not to show up because of the rain. It was very light rain.
Yeah, right. So yeah, just before the 100-kilometer race, it was a very big shower, maybe about for 30 minutes. And at the time of the start, the rain stopped. Make everybody feeling very like excited to see the rain, to make the race more, how to say, challenging. And I don't think that these runners who run 100 kilometer or 70 kilometer feel scared with this kind of rain.
Do you think that the organizers made the right decision to let the event continue under the circumstances? I mean, because of the heavy rain that was already hitting Dalat for quite some hours. Should it have been stopped earlier, or are you guys just saying no? This is trail running.
Let's say this is just issue of the how to collect the information, so that this river crossing apparently is a very easy river crossing during the normal date, normal time without rain. Local people cross it on foot or even by motorcycle, so that probably the organizer did not really pay attention to allocate people there. But so that if the people there, probably they may start to alarm the depth of the water, but the organizer doesn't have so much chance to know it. So this is probably one of the issues.
Yeah.
Okay. In my view, it was the right decision to go forward. I really believe that the risk is manageable. It was an accident. Nobody wants that to happen. And if you can turn back time, of course, yeah. If we could have prevented that accident, of course, you know, I would be happy not to race. But given the risk that I see, I think it was it was the right decision to go. Just to put it in the context, my brother and we arrived at the point where a man was swept away a minute ago, and after a while there were 10 of us over there get stuck in that stream, and we all decided to continue and not turning back, because we all assess ourselves that the water is not that deep, and there was a local man there who helped us by entering the water himself, and he stopped right in the middle of the water to give us a hand so that we can have something to hold on to while we cross. So that shows that it wasn't that dangerous in my view. This is trail running. I mean, this is outdoor in my view. There's always some element of risk, but
yeah,
I didn't find that dangerous. And even we at that time, I'm not sure. We at that time we believe that the man was strapped away in that particular position will survive, because it was not deep, and it's very narrow. And it was true. If I'm not wrong, the man that was strapped away in that point was rescued earlier. He survived, and the man. I mean, the accident happened in some other place. And if you can see the photo of the place, it's actually quite narrow. When the water go away, the water is typically at the ankle only.
Yeah.
So I think it is very, very fuzzy area and very difficult to judge kind of the border, dangerous or easy, dangerous or not dangerous. Frankly speaking, I see much more dangerous location in other trails. So the before something happened to judge it, and after something happened to judge it is a totally different. So it is always very, very fuzzy and very gray area.
Of course, as you know, the media, the mainstream media in Vietnam has been feeding on this episode, on this accident. One of the consequences seems to be that authorities in Vietnam will be less likely to give permits for races in the rainy season. Do you think in general, I mean, this could, for example, affect the smaller races, the grassroots events. Do you think that trail running in Vietnam will take a hit?
I don't think so. None of my friends that I talk to, none of my friends in my circle are turning back away from the sport because of this accident, and they all treat it like, you know, it's an accident. Let's move on. Let's not judge. I also really hope that the organizer will be able to have the permit for this race again, because the trail is beautiful. It's a very special race that, you know, within a few kilometers from right in the center of the city, you hit the jungle trail immediately. You're not too far from organization, and you are not too far from civilization most of the time, and yet you have jungle trail, very little concrete, very very nice.
The trail was very, very nice.
And it has a mix of everything. You have river crossing, you have rope climbing, you have the runnable part, you have the very very steep part. It was really enjoyable.
It's indeed a pity, because last year and also 2018, Dalat Ultra Trail was one of the most popular races in Asia Trailmaster, according to the participants. So we also go ahead.
And the races, a lot of people say that the races, the route has actually improved. They make it more difficult, more challenging, and that to us, you know, trail runner, that means it's more fun.
This is actually, I feel that this is even more difficult than BMM. So probably this is a kind of this race can be a kind of the flagship of the Vietnam trail race, and the course was really great. I agree with them that from the runners' point of view, nobody considered to just stop running because of the accident. This kind of the challenge is what people expect. Accident is something very unlucky issue.
So to conclude this chapter on Dalat Ultra Trail, the final question on this. So what do you think the event organizers should learn from this experience, and what did you yourself learn from it?
Let's say this race with the number of the 6,000 people, participants, probably we need a little bit more people or staffs assigned.
Okay, true.
For me, I would think that it will be a warning for other races who have been deferred because of COVID-19 to a not ideal season. For other races, it may not be flood. It may be temperature issue, and maybe the organizer will need to give out warning and make the participants to watch out for themselves more, to carry more safety equipment. For example, if the race has been delayed from summer to winter, obviously temperature will be a big issue. They need to the mandatory will have to increase in order for the participant to carry enough clothing. A lot of time runners tend to skim on all this mandatory equipment because they think that they will never need it. They will not need it, but there's the thing with the mountain is that the temperature and the weather can change drastically within hours. And a lot of time, the runners themselves did not manage to judge. For example, in this race, for me, I had a very good rain jacket, and I did not carry it because I thought that I would be able to run through it. I would be able to even if it's rain, I can withstand it. And I to be honest, I expect to finish by about midday or slightly after. But what happened was I decided to wait for my brother who was injured, and the pace was quite slow, and I felt my temperature was being reduced quite fast at that low temperature, and I had to actually go into a house and beg someone for a poncho. Now, if I was in the wild, without civilization, if I did not manage to get that poncho, I may have hypothermia, and that was a lesson for me not to skip on not to skim on all this mandatory equipment.
Yeah, that's a very good comment, Trung. Yeah, indeed, mandatory gear is mandatory in races, and sometimes people tend to forget that. Masafumi, do you have anything to add for yourself? Something you have learned?
Originally, I underestimated this course. This course was really upgraded. This course had many difference, just like a lot of the difficult terrain, technical part, and also very high location on top of the mountain. So that this change was totally different from the last series of the Dalat Ultra Trail.
The course was much tougher than in previous years, indeed. Yeah.
Tougher, yes.
So basically, what you learned is that it's always important to study the race course before the start. To speak, Masafumi, so you're a 3-star Grandmaster. You're only 2 points away from the highest level, 4 stars. You filled the entire Grandmaster quest. I suppose that you would like to achieve this Grandmaster quest 4 stars still this year, right?
Yeah, I expected to finish it, achieve within this year, and 2 is coming, and 1 should be this Dalat Ultra, and the next one should be VMM. But if I have no chance to go out of Vietnam, probably very, very less chance to achieve it.
There's still the Vietnam Jungle Marathon as well. Huh?
Probably Jungle Marathon VMM.
Yes. Okay. Trung, you also did Eco Trail Alula back in February. Scored a
very nice race. Great race.
Scored a great 5th place there as well. There will be an updated result of Dalat Ultra Trail still coming. So it was confirmed by the organizing team to me 2 days ago. You were at CP7, and that's apparently where there will be a cutoff. There will be a ranking based on CP7. So it's likely that you will move up the championship ranking and maybe even end up in 2nd place behind Kitamura.
No, it's this race wasn't a good race for me. I did very little training, and so the ranking isn't very high, I suppose. And yeah, I decided to wait for quite a while in the middle of the race for my brother, and we were going slow, enjoying the race. Yeah. So I hope to do better in VMM and VJM this year.
Yeah. What is your plan actually, Trung? Are you going back to Singapore soon, or will you be staying in Vietnam now, given the situation? Because I guess you will have to go in quarantine again, right? If you go to Singapore.
Yes. Looking at I'm not particularly optimistic about COVID-19. Many places of the world, second waves are happening, and Vietnam is very cautious about that. They will only allow international air travel if the other country have no cases for the past 30 days. And so far, Vietnam has not started any international travel yet. So I do not expect to be able to commute back and forth between Singapore and Vietnam in the near future. I think it's going to be likely either in December or next year. I don't think before December I can come back to Singapore. I'm not so optimistic.
Okay.
But that is fine for me. I mean, I'm really happy to be in Vietnam where races are still happening, and that gives me some motivation to do some running and training and racing.
So are you saying to all the trail runners in the rest of Asia to do the quarantine in Vietnam and then enjoy all the races? Masafumi, so you have quite a career, so to speak, in Asia Trailmaster. What is your best memory so far?
Usually almost always the impressive memory is the bad memory in a trail. So when I had a very difficult DNF decision, that was always impressive. But in a good memory, I have a very good memory with Ko-chan, UTKC, early this year.
Yeah.
So that was also one of the very tough race, and I analyzed that race. That was a good memory.
Yeah, Ultra Trail Koh Chang in Thailand in February.
Yeah.
It's also going to be back next year apparently. So UTKC is already confirmed for next year also. I think it's the 20th of February. There's a lot of medals as well. So are these all the medals from the races under ATM or?
Some of them not clear, but maybe half of my race is ATM. The remains in different states. Usually, I try to run over 100 kilometers, and this year my plan was to run 20 races of the 100 kilometers. So
races 100 kilometers.
Do it with only ATM, and of course I cannot do it within Vietnam too. So this year with only 2 races over 100 kilometers in a year, and I failed already one. So yeah, it is not so easy for me this year.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you very much for this interview this evening on the Tale of the Trail show. I hope to see you guys very soon in Vietnam or somewhere else in Asia on the trails.
Thank you. Yeah. Great chat. Great chat. Take care.
Hi, Bernabe. How are you doing tonight?
Hello, Amy. Doing well. Thank you. And you?
So yeah, I'm fine here. So are you still running like crazy like before the accumulator challenge and ATM?
No, the circuit breaker is over in Singapore, right? Our lockdown is over, so we can do all the things now than run.
Okay, so we understand that you're from Spain.
Yeah.
So when did you come to Singapore?
I've been in Singapore now just over 3 years.
3 years. So before, when you were in Spain, were you like running or were you doing other sports?
Yeah, actually, I left Spain when I was 18 years old. So I've lived most of my life in and out of the UK, basically. So a bit of a Londoner at heart, but yeah, not a lot of running until I came to Singapore, really.
Really?
Yeah, I ran well. It's very early. It's very early days in my running career, so I hope I'm just starting. So as many people these days, I think just before I turned 40, I decided I wanted to run a marathon. It was something that I had thought for a while, so I did that and didn't quite hit the time I wanted. So I had to train again, and I ended up catching the trail running bug in Singapore.
So what was the timing for your marathon? The first marathon that you aim to do?
Very modest times, Amy.
Like
I always thought 3:30, so 3.5 hours would be a good time, and I did 3 hours and 36 minutes. So that's when I had to win again. And then 2 years ago, I went to the Osaka Marathon, got a PB by 20 minutes, but still not, still working at it. So it was one of the pre-COVID objectives was the Seoul Marathon. But obviously,
so how do you train for that first marathon? I mean, 3:30 is not everybody can do a sub 4 hours marathon, right? It's modest to you, but still, I mean, how do you get yourself training into that?
Well, I guess I probably have good genes for it because my training was pretty appalling. The longest run I did in training was actually a half marathon, and I only did that once. So it wasn't a very disciplined training program. So that was also what got me a little bit more into this distance running, was then planning a proper training block for the Osaka Marathon and enjoying. It was the first time I did 100 kilometers in a week. I enjoyed that, and just kept going from there.
Do you have like a training coach or like somebody that trains with you? Or I understand you're with Shufflers also? Are you with Shufflers?
Yeah, well, I joined Shufflers last year, so I've been with Shufflers now, coming up to a year, I guess. Took me a while, because I never really thought that I wanted to get that fast. It's only it's a journey, isn't it? So
so now
I caught the bug very slowly.
Oh, slowly. So do you prefer, now that you have gone to ultra trail race events, so do you now prefer the short speed ones, or do you prefer the ultra long ones?
Well, I think I'm better at taking it a bit longer. I'm still, but I did join this training group in Singapore called the Shufflers, because they're very serious about track workouts and getting faster. So I do want to get faster, but I don't think it's my natural, my best strength.
Okay, so I understand that Pablo is also from Spain, right? So do you know him before that, or only in Singapore that you met him?
Yeah, Pablo Diago, who I don't know what did he 2 years ago he came he second or third in the Asia Trail Master competition.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually only met him 2 years ago, also here in Singapore. And I met him I met him in a local park run. So these runs, 5 kilometer time runs that used to happen every week until we got hit by the virus. And it was the day before I ran my first trail, sort of informal race.
Okay.
In our trails here in Singapore. So
that's the Macritchie?
Yeah. So I ran this local running club called the MR25 that have a tradition of holding what they call progressive races, which start at 10K at the start of the year, and every 2 months they grow it until you hit a 35K run in November, which is the perfect long run in preparation for the Singapore Marathon in December, traditionally.
Yeah. So is that why you also started doing the crazy accumulator challenge that you did in May? I understand you did about 800 over kilometers in May.
Yeah, I did. I think 800, just over 800 kilometers, 200 miles for the month of May. That was just being creative and reacting to the circumstances, right? So with the virus, so the virus hit, we had to make new plans, and I thought, well, the only excuse that we can use to get out of the house is to go and exercise. So I had this idea of running a mile. Well, you start at the start of the month on the 1st, running 1 mile, and every day of the month you increase it by an extra mile. So you get to the final week of the month. On the 24th, you're running 24 miles and so on until you run 31 miles on the last day of the month. And yeah, so the way it worked out, I added a little bit extra on the 24th and the 25th. So I ran 6 marathons on the final week, and then finished off by doing a double for the 30th and the 31st of May. And running a 100-kilometer run overnight. That night.
Oh gosh,
That was the end of the lockdown for me.
You sound so tired.
Before doing this, I had only ever done one other 100-mile training week, and I felt pretty tired at the end of that one. So that was, I guess, the second or the third week of the challenge. And I was quite drained at that point, and I wasn't sure I could finish. But yeah, the day after, I went out for another run, took it a little bit easier, started taking more hydration stops, and I don't know, it just grew on me. Yeah, I mean, obviously a 100-kilometer run at the end of it, that was a bit tiring, but I did feel very good towards the end of it.
Okay, so that's May, right? So after May, you rest for a week or so, and then ATM 500 came. And what made you join 2 teams in Singapore? We understand that you were with Paulina's team, and then after that, you were with Benya's team, right? What made you join 2 teams?
It didn't start out as a plan to join 2 teams, but we have this group of trail runners that we meet informally every week and go on different trail runs. And when ATM came up with the idea of having this virtual challenge, everyone was very excited because there was nothing else to do. So a bunch of us wanted to join. So we had 2 teams to start with, both of them headed by 2 of our superstars in Rie, who obviously whose team won the thing by finishing in a single day, and then Paulina's team, and we finished very early the second day. But yeah, what made me join it? It was just a good opportunity not to run with people because we were still in the lockdown period, so we had to run alone. But the way we designed the route, we did see each other and cross paths quite frequently. So it was good to
care for each other. Yeah. Okay, that's nice.
A great social occasion. And then after that, it became clear that doing this thing in a fast time also was something that people cared about. And we had the third super fast lady of the Trails of Singapore, who's Vanya.
Yeah.
And she had expressed an interest in doing it fast before. She wasn't interested in trying to finish it in 1 or 2 days, because she's more into speed. And she put a team together, and she asked me to join. So I was very happy to do that. And the great thing about that was, it was also pretty hard because I think all of us, the 4 people in that team, we're used to running 100-kilometer weeks, so we didn't think that would be that much of a challenge. But running them, all of them at fast paces, that's not something that we gave a lot of thought to, and we were pretty tired by the end of it. But the great thing is that the last 2 days is when Singapore lifted the lockdown. So on the Friday before ATM finished, we were able to go together and do a time lap of McRitchie as a team, and then I finished my 125 kilometers with Vanya on a loop of the bay in tribute to the winning team.
Wow!
From the Marina Bay Loopers. So we did a fast half marathon around the bay. Vanya's average pace for that thing was amazing. I think she kept it inside of an average 3-hour marathon. for the
Yeah.
125 kilometers.
Really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we are going to talk about more trails. So you said that you love trails, right? You after you started trail in Singapore, and then you joined. I understand you went to Seow Kong first.
So, well, the race I really cared about when because I was doing it with a friend that had done it before, was Ultra Trail Australia 100. So I signed up for that first, and then Seow Kong just seemed like a very good fit for a training shorter run, because it has similar elevation profiles, and obviously Hong Kong is famous for its steps. Same as Ultra Trail Australia. It has a lot of steps, so I thought I would go and do that to prepare for UTA. All Singapore trail runners know Bukit Timah Hill, and if you need to train your legs for stairs and vert, you go to Bukit Timah and do a lot of repeats there. Actually, you know the lady that came, I think she came fourth in Ultra Trail Australia 100. She lives in Singapore also, Emily Tan. And she trained exclusively just doing crazy amounts of Bukit Timah Hill repeats all the time. I'm very young in my running career, so that was only last year. And then the next one I signed up for well in advance was the Hong Kong 100 in January this year. Then at the end of December I did this local ultra, very old ultra run, because the MR 25 ultra marathon in the McRitchie Reservoir, I think is 40 years old or something like that, which makes it probably the oldest or second oldest trail marathon in Asia. And that's something that not a lot of people know. But
I think I don't know too.
It's 7 to 7, and you do as many 10.5 kilometer loops as you can. I managed 9, which was okay. I wanted to do 10.
Okay. So then when you went to go to the Hong Kong 100, and then you mentioned that you did not finish the race, and what was the reason?
I think I still haven't mastered nutrition properly for when I go beyond 10 hours, 12 hours. It's still, my stomach really plays up, and I seem to struggle holding down the calories. So when that happens, so the stomach started playing up earlier. And going up those hills with an empty stomach and with no energy.
So is there any takeaway that you want to share with us, like over the races that you've done so far?
I think just enjoy it. I think that was probably also a big mistake that I made in Hong Kong, was I just had one time objective in mind,
right?
And I hadn't planned enough for just enjoying the race.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always good to have such experience in mind, so that moving forward, when you encounter such feeling or such cases again, then you can start to think back and what you should do to go on. Because usually when you DNF a race, then you start to think like, if I should do this, if I should do that, probably it will not be like, things like that. So I think it's very good that we learned something along the race.
I guess if it hadn't been for the virus, I would have gone and done the Cameron 100, which I think was one of your races this year.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Oh man, if we are able to go to Hong Kong by the end of October, the Lantau 70 is going to be full of Singapore people.
Right. That's true. I think it's still on until 70 at the moment. So hopefully borders are open and we can go there. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. And thanks for your time. It's good chat. And I hope to see you in the trail soon.
Yeah. See you.
Thank you. Good night. Bye.
right, let's welcome our two next guests here on this episode of Tale of the Trail. Amy Khor from Singapore and Robert Butcher, the Englishman who is based in Bangkok. Welcome to the show, Amy, Robert.
Hi.
Hello, thank you.
How is life, Robert, in Bangkok?
It's okay. We've lost our curfew, so things are almost new normal now.
Almost new normal. And in Singapore, Amy?
Everything is good. Back to new normal too.
All right. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about trail running and about the ATM 500. For example, both of you took part in the ATM 500 2 weeks ago. You were in a team called Run for Beer.
Yes.
That's a name that doesn't leave anything to the imagination, right? Exactly. So can you explain a little bit more about the Run for Beer, Robert?
Actually, it was Amy who chose the name. My name's rather boring and flat. But it kind of sums up. Like Amy, I like beer, and running helps stop the weight gain. So the problem I have at the moment is lots of drinking and no running. I'm a bit fat. And yeah, it is true. Like you posted, I do like a beer or two after a run, and especially races. I mean, everyone tends to congregate. Not everyone, but many people tend to relax and congregate with some beers and discuss how it went well or badly, respectfully for them.
Yeah.
So the idea of Run for Beers just fitted in the challenge. And if you make it at any given stage, the reward is the beers. For me, it was the carrot. Amy suggested the carrot. Yeah, it was like, I think originally I wasn't supposed to be allowed to have a beer unless I did 20K that day or something. I didn't necessarily keep that. Maybe I sneaked a few in with less distance, but that was a carrot.
So what kind of beer did you have then at the end of the ATM 500? What's your favorite beer?
I really like stout or porter, but it tends to be a bit expensive here because it's craft. So routinely I'll drink Thai lager, rice lager, and then if I made my 20K, I would go and buy. There's a craft shop up the road, so Black Butte Porter or something like that.
So the craft beer is a bit of
an imperial stouts. They're super strong.
Okay, and that's a bit of a reward for you then after a long
yeah. Just to help the dehydration get worse.
What about you, Amy? So
usually Singapore is really hot. I mean, when we're having that ATM 500, that 2 weeks is really, really hot. So usually beer is a very good hydration. Yeah, hydration for me, at least after a run. So it helps to motivate me every time. So me and Robert likes to drink beer a lot. When we meet, is usually we will have beer in Panoramic. We had two, and then in Vietnam, did we have beer? I think we had beer in Vietnam to VMM. So I thought that was really good for as a good team name for us. And best thing is like what he said, it motivates him. So it's like a carrot. I told him it's like you need to earn the beer. So every time you must run a 20K to earn the beer.
Yeah. Beer is somehow connected to trail running as well, right? Coffee is for cyclists.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to see more beer at the aid stations as well of races?
Whoa, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I have seen it myself. Yeah, and I was once in a race in China, and they had actually Qingdao beer at two of the aid stations towards the end of the race. Yeah, the last two aid stations.
That's nice.
Yeah, maybe an idea for some of the other organizers.
Yeah.
What do you think about the alcohol-free beers?
I still prefer with the alcohol content. Otherwise, it doesn't taste like beer to me.
Okay.
The German one, Erdwinger, they're dark alcohol-free. It's quite palatable, I think.
Erdwinger, yeah.
I'm not a Heineken fan, but I can say Heineken Zero is terrible. I don't see the point in that.
Yeah.
I don't so much see the point in Heineken. But yeah, some of them are okay. I did a marathon last year, Bang Sen 42, and a guy gave me a free. It's the German Erdwinger beer, and I drank it. I thought it's beer. I thought it had alcohol. Drank it, and I liked it. It was only when I finished I saw it was alcohol free. So that one works for me because it actually tastes like beer. So that'd be good.
Yeah, you see it more and more often at marathons. Yeah, you see it more and more often at marathons here in Europe as well. So that you get an alcohol-free beer at the finish if you want. Yeah, so it's quite refreshing indeed. Bangkok, how was it to run there during the ATM 500? Were you able to do some bigger runs, or was it all, in your own neighborhood?
In my neighborhood, we had a curfew which originally was still quite runnable. So I think it was about 10 o'clock at night to 4 a.m. And gradually that might have been 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and gradually it went back to 10. So for me, 4 o'clock, that means I get up at 3, make my daughter's breakfast, have some food myself, and go out. So she's got breakfast. The thing was the social distancing. So near where I've got, there's like a bus lane, which is 3 lanes away from the pavement. So I could get to that in half a K, and then I can run that. But the buses start at 5:30. So I could get a 4 o'clock to 5:30 run in, which you're probably thinking of 20K or 15K at your pace. But I really found out how unfit and weak I am. So that was like 10K. And then was the struggle. So pretty soon I started splitting it, morning and evening. The problem for evening is the pavement's always busy. There's no quiet bus lane. The parks were shut at first, but when they did open, they were too crowded and you had to wear a mask. So I just can't breathe. So evening runs were like, okay, pavement runs and take it easy.
And were you able to go to any trails already? Or?
I did, but the nearest trail is maybe about an hour away by car, Chonburi, and then there's some much nicer trails further away. But I don't have a car, so I'm very dependent on somebody giving me a lift. Plus, there's a limit to how much time I can leave my daughter on her own. So either somebody has to look after for me, or it's a short trail run. I've got to be back by lunchtime. Because she doesn't get up early at the weekend.
So how did you experience the ATM 500, generally speaking?
It was a good motivator, but I underestimated it. So initially I thought, with Amy, it's just a challenge. It should get me back into running, having not been running. And it sounded quite easy. And the first 2 days completely mentally were hard, because I discovered that after 8K I was tired, and jog walking at 10K, it's like, so some in the back of my mind, I had this arrogant, naive belief I was still an ultra runner. So, I should be able to do slowly 40K, no trouble. So walking at 8 to 10K was like a bit of a downer. And then the cumulative fatigue. So I actually went to the trail, and we're going to try and do 20K. It's not a hard trail, and I just sat down at 10K completely exhausted and had to take the next day as a rest day. Without then is your mileage that you must do each day increases. And I know Amy was happy doing 30 or 40 days, so she could have, as long as I made my minimum, carried it for me. But that was defeating the point of the challenge. The challenge was to get me to do it. So it's not a testosterone Mako, no, I must do mine. It was respect of the team side. No, the whole idea is I do half. That was the challenge. So that was the low point, finding out just how tired and how unfit I was. And the high points were gradually making it.
Which is in a way surprising to hear, I'm sure, for many of the people who are watching this broadcast. Because, of course, Robert, you're known as a grandmaster in ATM. And you usually also choose the toughest races on the calendar, the long ultras, the high mountains, or the thick jungle.
I live in Bangkok. It's concrete. That gives me a chance to get out hills, and I like the challenge. I like the fun. They are the more interesting ones. That's true.
So do you miss those races now? Because you're only 1 point away from your 10th Grandmaster finish, so that would be 2 stars.
I do. I mean, I don't know if I can do any ultras at the moment. I'm really unfit, but I kind of get sad each time another one gets, postponed or cancelled.
You have, of course, already been trying to get that 10th finish in ATM for quite a while, but you had a series of DNFs late last year and then early this year. And there's also a reason for that, right? As you then discovered.
You mean apart from that I don't train enough and I drink too much? Yeah, my health hasn't been stunningly good recently, but it's okay. I had what turned out to be bacterial pneumonia. So that was making me a little bit weak, but it turned out underneath that my old colon cancer metastasized to my lungs. So I've been trying to not come to terms with, but get over a couple of lung cancers. So I've had, I guess it's fortunate, I've had the laryngoscopy, where we call it, the removal from inside the lungs by tubes, which I can't say I like it, but I can imagine it's much nicer than being cut open. So quite lucky that way. But it's the chemo. It's just makes me so tired. And when I tried to run, quite weak. The main thing is recovery. Just like recovery goes to, I know I'm old, but normally recovery is like the next day. But recovery is not back to days. It's kind of, that made the ATM 500 a challenge, to be honest.
Yeah, that's, of course. In a way, it's quite amazing that you're still doing all this running and exercise, given the situation. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. It's a balance. I don't want to give up. I mean, before the ATM 500, I'd more or less given up and just reverted to being a couch potato and drinking too much. Which is why I kind of appreciated Amy's challenge. So now I want to keep going. I haven't run this week, but not because of laziness, because my daughter flooded the condo and I have to try and deal with everything to do with the damage of that. But yeah, I'm going to go for a run tomorrow morning. Yeah, actually, I did go out for a point. I did a very slow 10K this morning.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. In a way, Robert, your story now reminds us a little bit of Cassandra last year in Singapore. I think, Amy, you know Cassandra quite well as well, of course. By continuing to do exercise and run, do you also try to inspire other people in this situation?
Yes, I think it's important. I mean, I have a 14-year-old daughter, so I can't give up. You know, I have to fight this. And I think running is, or if you're a cyclist, cycling, anything, as long as you don't overdo it, you mustn't crash your immune system. Yeah. I think it's important mentally to focus on something that you enjoy, something different, and keep going. Okay, keep some, not just routine, but some challenge, some mental happiness, basically. Yeah. And I think some physical exercise is good. Yeah, obviously not. I can't actually do zone 5. My lungs are too. I can't. But you know, agreed. You shouldn't, if you're capable of it, you shouldn't overdo it because it will crash your immune system. But
that's correct.
Exercise is good.
Yeah.
Mentally
to be honest, Robert, you're looking good as well at the moment. So.
Thank you. I had a bit of a sleep earlier.
So at the moment, you're still undergoing the chemotherapy. Do you have any timetable there? Until what time? Till what
so
day?
Now, okay, so I don't have systemic drip, as in through a cannula. It's oral now, which is quite so tablets. So at the moment, I'm on a 3-week out of 4 weeks. I have to take 2 tablets a day. It's just gone down from 3 to 2. So that's we call it Z-Loader. It's a trade name. So 300 milligrams I take twice a day. It used to be 3 times a day. And that's quite nice. I don't have to obviously sit in hospital, and its side effects appear better. I still get bad diarrhea and fatigue and skin. And if I cut myself or bruise myself, it just doesn't want to heal. Yeah. But that's about it. I'm not getting vomiting, bleeding. Unfortunately, not hair loss. I have to shave. I hate shaving. I wish this would all just fall out and go. But no, it's still there and it grows. Yeah. Okay, like the eyebrows, they stop the sweat. But this should fall out and go, but it doesn't. So that's quite nice.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be facetious or flippant. You have to make jokes. You have to see the bright side of this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Otherwise, as I know, you just get down. And I have a daughter, so I have to keep on. She knows now, but I still have to, be happy and cheerful even if I'm not.
Of course.
So I always try to be. So if anyone out there thinks I'm being flippant, I'm sorry. It's just me. I make a joke of it to keep myself going.
Yeah.
I know Robert because we are actually planning. He's going for UTMB this year actually. So I'm going for CCC. So we actually had plans to, with some friends, to actually rent an apartment to bunk in together during the time that we are in Europe, but it was cancelled now. And Robert initially was telling, probably, and I also said, probably is the COVID situation allows us to take a break because we don't have enough training. But then ATM 500 came, and then we spoke, and then we decided to go on this challenge. And I think it helped Robert a lot because before that he was having this chemo and stuff, and he wasn't really training much. So I was thinking when he approached me and asked me whether I want to do this challenge, I said that, well, why not? I think it's a good idea because it keeps us going. And then for him, I think it's good. And it's really true this 2 weeks that I see that he's really putting in a lot of efforts because like what he mentioned, he has the little side effects here and there, the fatigue, the diarrhea and stuff. But at certain days, he's taking break and all, but he really mix it up. It's like he didn't want to give up. I mean, he could have done shorter, but no, because that's what we have decided, like it's a fair share. We both would do what we're supposed to do. And then it's really, really inspiring when I see him moving on, I mean, getting better and better as it goes. And at my low times, I think of him that, it's like, if he can do it, it's like, why am I not continuing? So it's inspiring and amazing that he's doing this. And I hope that his stories and Cassandra or whoever, there's people that's going low time will inspire the people around us. And I got to say that Robert is really a nice teammate to team with in this race.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Yeah. All right. I think that concludes our chat this evening. Thank you very much, Robert. Also for your
thank you, Amy.
openness, and of course, we wish you all the best for your recovery in the coming weeks and months, probably. Yeah. See you soon on the trails.
See you, Robert. See you, Chris.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and our next guest on the show is Seow Kong in Malaysia. As a pioneering ultra and trail runner in Malaysia, Seow Kong joined the Asia Trailmaster Championship with Penang Eco from early on. This season, however, he has entered his second major event, the Ultimate Trails of Penang, on the ATM calendar. Scheduled for 10 and 11th of October, UTOP could be one of the first races of the 2020 season relaunch. Seow Kong, hello. Welcome to the Tale of the Trail.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah.
And good afternoon to you.
How is life?
Since we can't do much with the event, so I might as well get back to my job, working in the corporation.
Yeah. You started a new job again at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, 1st of January this year. Well, at that time, of course, I didn't know that we are going to have this.
How have you been living through the
but
COVID-19?
it probably just as well. So I was like everybody. I got stuck up in Penang, in a little apartment where my mother-in-law lives, and it's not so big, so I can't have a garage or car park to run around. So I mostly just work out on a stepping machine, which is stationary. So you just go up and down on that stepping machine, one step. The stepping machine has some resistance.
Yeah.
So it's some kind of a workout, So I work out for 1 hour to 1.5 hours.
Okay. Yeah, usually you're competing in a whole range of races yourself, right? So has it been hard for you not to be able to pursue all those racing goals?
Not really. I've just returned from Taiwan, after running around Taiwan, at the end of February. So I was looking forward to a big and long rest anyway.
Okay.
So this came up just in time. I was in no hurry to join any races. I just need a good rest.
Yeah, and this is why, because at the moment there have been many virtual races everywhere, but I have not really seen you around in those virtual events, or am I mistaken?
Well, I was probably in one that was organized by Razif Yaya, one of those like men and women, so you sign up for this and then see, which team, whether the men team or the women's team will run the most kilometer, over a certain period of time.
Yeah.
But I could only work out on my stepping machine. I couldn't really run.
Yeah.
But I'm not probably for road short distance it's fine, for virtual run. But if it is a long ultra, especially if it's a trail, it just can't be the same.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I don't even bother joining any of those.
I see. Yeah. Normally, last month, or actually a few weeks ago, there would have been a Penang Eco, right? A famous event in ATM. Was it painful for you having to cancel the race this year?
Well, canceling events are always painful for the organizer. We try to wait and for good news, for things to change, and we're wondering what's the right thing to do. When we cancel, whether we postpone, and when we cancel, when we postpone, whether we defer the registration or we do the refund and things like that. I think, as has been announced in our TT Ultra and also Penang Eco, our policy is to defer, with no refund. I think the rationale behind it is itself, it's a process, for both the runners and also the organizer. And if we can make it simpler by just deferring, so that everybody do not have to sort of pay some race portal fee again. And who knows, the registration fee in 2021 may be increased because everything else may be more expensive to operate. So we think that, okay, we will bear all that troubles. So we'll just defer everything to next year. And I'm sure majority of the runners who have signed up for 2020, they will want to run 2021 again.
Yeah, and last week, however, you announced that Ultimate Trails of Penang on the 10th and 11th of October would still take place. However, there might be special requirements and conditions.
So,
can you tell us a little bit more about?
I think we just have to do this race differently now. What we have in mind, of the different categories, they will start and finish at different times. We will schedule in such a way that different categories, they won't ever really get the chance to meet the runners from other categories. So that's one thing. So the starting time and finishing time will change. We'll work that out in detail later on. And also, of course, with the support at the at the water station, at the aid station, we will try to practice like as far as hygiene is concerned, social distancing is concerned. We will practice that as well at all the aid station. We will also limit the number of entry for each category. And when they do return when they finish the race, they will we'll give them the finisher tee, they get their medals, and then they will have to leave. They can't hang around.
One question in this context, Seow Kong, the 100 kilometer is still on the program?
Wow, we still have, a lot of the biggest category is actually 100K. Although it's the toughest one, not only for our race, but I believe in Malaysia and in the region, it's not an easy race. But we have the most number of registration for this category. So we have the 100, 60, 40, 20, and 12. So we have five categories.
5 categories, and they will all still be on the program. And
Yes.
What about the registrations? Are they still open, or will they be reopened maybe later when things are a bit more clear? Or
It has never been closed.
Okay.
We just, because it's still early, and then we have never announced that this event will be cancelled or postponed. So everything is just as normal.
Yeah, that's very good to hear. So I'm sure that there's a lot of runners at the moment very keen on races. So Ultimate Trails of Penang is open for registration, ladies and gentlemen. So, but be aware, as Seow Kong has mentioned, it's one of the toughest races in ATM as well. Would you say it is more difficult than Penang Eco?
These two races are different concept. In terms of difficulty, yes, it is, simply because of the elevation. Yeah, there's a lot to climb. 6,000 meters.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot for 100K.
Yeah.
So the cutoff time is 35 hours.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who finish in the 33, 34 hours. Yeah. So it's not an easy race.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful. The trail is beautiful.
Yeah.
The view is beautiful. This route will take you to various iconic places, historic places, of the whole of Penang Island. Yeah. So one particular trail which no other event have access to is National Park of Penang. Yeah. It's the first time they allow events to be held there, and I can say that it's the toughest one. Toughest part. But once you're in there, you get to run along the beaches as well. So you come out to the beach, and then you hike up the hill trail, and then you come back. And we even have this, what they call, could be an attraction. It's called a DNF boat. If you happen to DNF at that particular checkpoint, we'll use a boat to take you.
Okay, that's
out from that. So,
well, that's indeed very interesting. I will make sure that we have some photographers or some videographers there.
Yeah. It became a bit of a lighthearted moment for those DNF because it got so tough in the national park. Yeah. So most people even if they have the time, they just simply do not want to continue. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But it's beautiful.
The general situation in Malaysia looks more promising, right, than a month ago. Nevertheless, this week we also had the announcement from the Great Malaya Trail that they would be cancelling their event. That event is only 2 weeks before yours originally.
Yes.
So are you afraid that maybe UTOP will also need to be postponed or cancelled?
Wow, I have to say I have to be cautiously optimistic. So far, in the last 3 months, we come to know about our Malaysian style, of this our style of lockdown, and how we are really slowly opening up. We have different phases, and now we are in the recovery phase. And even within the last 2 or 3 weeks of the announcement of the recovery phase, we call the RMCO, there have been some new announcement of relaxation in certain controls. So from today onwards, we are allowed to swim, whereas 2 weeks ago, there was no words on that. We were still not allowed. Although RMCO is supposed to expire, at the end of August. So I think the Malaysian government will slowly opening up. They will probably be kind of like observing how the overall situation is like, what the other countries are doing, and including the border control. I think there will be more relaxation in the controls, allowing sports event to be held. My worry, I think they will still allow some events to be. They will limit the size.
Okay, that's very clear. Seow Kong, thank you very much for this interview.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good luck.
And have a nice day.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we move on with our Tale of the Trail show, episode 5 today. And our next guest here is Ruth Theresia from Indonesia. Based in Bandung in West Java, Ruth Theresia has been the face of Indonesian trail running since 2018, the year she became the Asia Trailmaster champion. She also shares the record of most ATM race victories with Tahira Namunisa, and that means 10 race victories. Earlier this year, in February, she also launched her 2020 campaign in great style with a solid second place in Eco Trail Alula in Saudi Arabia. Ruth, welcome to the Tale of the Trail show.
Hello.
How is life in Bandung?
Yeah, we still run our life, but yeah, thank God we still have a good trail. Sometimes I went to the forest.
Yeah. How is your knee injury? Because after Alula, or actually quite some time after Alula, you got injured in a training run, right?
Yeah, I have an injury, bad injury on my knee while during my it was 2 weeks before, Idul Fitri in Indonesia. So I have a training inside in the forest. I have an accident during downhill, so I have a bad wound on my knee. I went to the hospital, and then to have bed rest and take the recovery around 1 month. So I just started to build up my level of fitness.
You told me before that you started cycling a little bit more.
Yeah. It's just a transition before I start running because of the wound. So I just have limitation of movement. So the doctors give me recommendation to do bicycle rather than running.
Yeah. And when do you think you can start running again?
I just ran some maybe around 2 weeks or 1 week, but it's very, very low intensity, very low pace. Yeah, maybe around 10 kilometers in a week.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
well,
that's
that's about what I do. So, yeah. Okay, Ruth. In Indonesia, of course, at the moment there's no races at all, right? So even though you're injured, you're not really missing out on much, I guess. But how difficult is it now for you to stay motivated to train? Because it could very well be that there are no races at all in Indonesia this year.
Yeah. So basically, I just have easy run because it's really difficult to get to the track because a lot of tracks are still closed during this pandemic, but we still have an access to the trail, to the Tahura, to some hills. So it's a little bit for me to keep running outside rather than on a gym on the track like that. And to keep motivated, I just keep running, keep training based on my coach advising, because I just changed and got a new coach for now.
Oh, yeah? Oh, really? So who is the new coach, if I may ask?
Andy Dubois.
Andy Dubois.
Everyone
Okay.
know him.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
He's actually coaching a lot of protagonists in the Asia Trailmaster Championship Series.
That's why I changed and reform my new training block, and it keep me stay motivated to keep to adapt to new training program.
Yeah. In the last 2 and 3 years, is there something that you have learned for yourself doing all these races? Is there something you want to focus on more now going forward?
So for the past 2 years ago, I've been very busy on the race. So actually, during for the season 2020, I just really picky about my races. So it remains to how I manage my recovery time, how I manage my training block like that. So that's my biggest concern, that I have to pick some races that which is more important, and which priority of the race that I should take. So I just separate some races, A races, B races, and C races like that. And yeah, so that's kind of important things, because yeah, you know that for the past 3 years ago, I just really very busy with many races, especially in
Yeah.
ultra race. So that's my really biggest turn for now.
Thinking a little bit more like a professional runner now, indeed, because you were racing almost every week, right? So 2 years ago. So
Yeah, you know,
yeah.
like 2 or 3 years, I just like a baby born, really burning. Like
Yeah.
I join everything.
Exactly. So actually now 2020 was also your comeback on the Asia Trailmaster scene, and you started very well in Saudi Arabia with 2nd place. So there haven't been any points races in the last few months, and there won't be any until September. So that 2nd place could actually become very important for you in the championship. So do you already have a strategy in mind for your Asia Trailmaster campaign at the end of the year?
After the Dalat Ultra Trail, I just motivated. I just really have a very big goals for the ATM scene 2020. I already manage. I choose and I will take for the championship. But pandemic, I just really getting lower my mileage, my training blocks. So I just focusing my goal to keep my level fitness and keep the solid training blocks. So I hope I can join some race. I think I have to retargeting for the 2021 season.
But is there any race that you already have in mind for later in the year?
Yeah, so I hopefully in September there will be race in Indonesia, and actually for the international race I really want to Thailand race Ultra Trail Chiang Rai.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if with this lower mileage I can cover the 200 kilometers race. So
You can
my
do the
focus
125 as
for
well.
now is yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's the
hope.
same
But
level.
let me
Yeah.
see how the training goes well. But yeah, in September we have some local races here, and yeah, I hope so. In September everything will gonna be all right.
That sounds good. TMBT is now the ATM final. Have you ever been in Kota Kinabalu in Sabah?
No, I've never been there. No, I haven't asked anyone yet. And I don't know if I will join the TMBT. If yes, maybe I will ask Jessica or Nana about some good advisory for that race.
Yeah. The Lintanga sisters, they are indeed the ambassadors of TMBT, of course. TMBT is the ATM final, so if you're in a good position, I would highly recommend that you still attend TMBT at the end of the season at 19 December, of course.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Ruth, you're wearing a very nice T-shirt. It says Hoka One One. You're an ambassador for the shoe brand, which is also one of our key sponsors in 2020. As you know, Hoka has just released a number of updated shoes, in particular the Clifton Edge for road runners and the Torrent 2 for trail runners. Have you already tried them out?
Yes, I've tried them twice during my run on the trail.
Mm-hmm. What can you tell us about the Torrent 2?
So I can say that Torrent specialty in trail. So it's a little bit different than the previous one because they have more stable on the upper, also clock. Yes, still they have a very responsive cushion and agility, and of course, it's my very good shoe for the speed trail. So sometimes for the soft or speed race, I really love to wear torrent. And then yeah, they have good cushion and lightweight.
And for the ultra race, do you also wear the Torrent too, or would you then go for another model?
Yeah. This shoe also good for ultra race, no matter how technical.
Last year you also had a famous photo shoot in the United States. Is there something new on the agenda for you this year? Another shoot somewhere?
Yeah, we tried a photo shoot and tried the Hoka Evo Mafate and also the Speed Good.
Thank you very much for this talk, Ruth, and we wish you all the best for the coming months.
You're welcome.
In our ongoing pursuit to create the smoothest ride ever, we've reimagined every material, pushed all geometries, from top to bottom, heel to toe. The heel has been extended to welcome you down into the softest of landings. The cushion is our smoothest yet. The new woven upper provides the support and comfort your foot wants. Hoka's signature rocker technology makes the shoe snappy, rolling you from stride to stride. This is the Clifton Edge, running smoothest ride.
And that was Ruth Theresia, another elite runner who has seen her 2020 racing plan go up in smoke as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. At least she has already identified a big goal for later in the year, Ultra Trail Chiang Rai in Thailand. That's the super trail, Thailand Super Trail in the Asia Trailmaster Championship Series. So that could actually be a smart move by Ruth. As such, we have come to the end of this episode of The Tale of the Trail. The next race is only on 19 September. That's the Vietnam Mountain Marathon, followed by Korea 50K 1 week later. That is still quite a long time away, so we will be taking a bit of a longer break for our show, and we will return in early August with hopefully a lot of good news. In the meantime, I suggest that all of you join our new ATM Strava Club, as we will be offering quite some nice things over there in the coming days and weeks. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and happy. Enjoy your weekend, and see you soon.